Is everyone awake out there? Is anybody listening at all? Hello. I am the one and only Teej, and you are listening to me live, coming to you from the Bearcast studio. That's right, the Jack and Jones Schrader studio, part of the electronic media division at CCM. And of course, because it is midnight, because we are getting started right here, I should just forewarn you that it's about to get relatively strange, bizarre, and at times overly creepy. If you're not prepared for that kind of gig right there, I suggest that you switch the station now. Because it's not going to get any more normal. It's not going to get any more comfortable. It's just about to get as possibly weird as we are really allowed to. Or at least I'm allowed to, because of course we have Terry here again in the studio with me, chaperoning me so that I don't say anything too risque. That being said, though, you want to say hi to the folks, Terry? Nope, I didn't think so. I was just going to check. As, of course, Terry does not want to be associated with the one and only Teej, so he kind of just sits about and, again, chaperoning. Keeping tabs on me. That sort of thing right there. We were in the studio earlier today, though, that kind of stuff right there. We'll probably get into that later, because I'm really excited about that kind of stuff. A lot of great information coming out right now, and so that's why I'm really excited. Really excited to get things started right here. Almost even wanted to jump into weird news straight away, just simply because there's some great stories that we have later in the evening to share with you. Holy crap, cannot wait till 1 a.m., but let's take things one at a time. Last weekend, how about that? We can start off on that particular point right there, and it just had to do with the fact that last weekend was incredibly strange. I found myself in a very bizarre situations, that sort of thing right there. Went out with a couple of mates of mine, doing the whole bar hopping gig down in OTR. And I guess it started off a little bit weird simply because we took Uber on the way down, and our cab driver, our Uber driver, turned out to be a fascist. Right? I mean, that doesn't happen every day right there. All of a sudden, it seems like politics is on everybody's minds right now, which is a sheer indicator that everyone is absolutely terrified. Oh my god. We don't know what to do with ourselves right there. It gets very worrisome. It gets very nervous. And again, the election isn't 6 months away or something like that? Something ridiculous. We aren't supposed to think about this right now. It's longer than 6 months away right there, and everyone is just scared. Crazy, right? Very, very uncomfortable. But yeah, we got this fascist Uber driver right there. And I was thinking, this is a bit of a curious situation, because again, politics was like the first topic that comes out of this dude's mouth. And I know what I was told as a kid, you're not supposed to talk about religion and politics, because it just makes people unhappy. And we're not going to do that here, of course, but happens to be a discussion that I like to get on every once in a while, that sort of thing. So I was welcoming it in open arms, and he sounded like he wasn't that conservative, so seemed like to be going in the right direction. And then, it takes that little turn right there, a little dip into the chaos, that sort of thing right there, which I'm all for, but then he just sounded like he wanted to watch the world burn. As entertaining as that is, it's quite uncomfortable, and so I do not recommend it. Speaking as an individual who's been around a lot of fires, I really, really don't need them to be, colliding in and sort of just, encompassing me in the flames. Because, again, not particularly that fun. I think burning to death would possibly be one of the worst ways to die. It wasn't something that I was going to discuss on here tonight, but since it came up, I just think it's good to throw that thought out there. Definitely right there. Yeah, so we ran into a fascist, that sort of thing. So, needless to say, we're getting out of that cab as soon as we could right there. He said, it's a couple more blocks away. We're like, we're fine. Just drop us off right here. It's good. Oh, boy, we made a mistake, though, right there, because we ended up getting dropped off at a block. And it seemed like there was this beer fest thing going on last Friday, in downtown. And, I'm all for beer fest. That sounds cool and everything. There's tents and everything, and I didn't really know what was going on. So we go in there. And I was surrounded with a very, very strange selection of our population right there. And not in that fun way where everyone is kind of welcoming and just cool, and just having a good time, that sort of thing. People are having a good time, don't get me wrong right there, but it just felt like, oh my god, I was the youngest person there by 7 years or something like that, first of all, so there's that sort of weird bit. And then, everyone's staring at you, that sort of thing. We showed up way too late, so everyone's already pissed. And, you're trying to keep up with conversations on people that are all, that sort of thing right there. Turned out, it was a whole event, a reoccurring event of some sort, I suppose. It's in correlation with the whole fact that, that Catholic holiday, what's it called? Lent, yes, Lent is going about right there. And so Catholics aren't allowed to eat meat on the Fridays, which, from what I understand, so long as you go to confession afterwards and mention the fact that you did actually eat meat, it's okay. Like, God forgives you and all that sort of sense. But that being said right there, no, it was just one of those strange things. And again, it's never good to show up at an event like that, like, late. Because when people start getting pissed, when people get really drinking, that sort of bit right there, which again, I really don't know how that correlates with Lent. We're giving up stuff for Jesus, and then we're just going to pig out every Friday, but just not eat meat. Which, interestingly enough, I found out that that whole rule about not eating meat on Fridays does not only can you eat fish, but beaver as well. So I thought that was a good thing to share with anyone out there who happens to be Catholic and listening to this show and all right there. You have your options. And vegetarianism isn't that bad. Honestly, it's actually quite delicious. So you might want to try it every once in a while. It's not that difficult. Anyways, that being said right there, surrounded by a bunch of weird old individuals, and they were old because, like, all the guys had, like, beer guts, and all the women had about 8 pounds of makeup on, and so you're just like, oh, I can't tell if I'm, like, I don't know, you remember those movies in the 50s where they tried to get all these adults to play, like, teenagers, that sort of thing, and it just did not work? I don't know, that's how I feel about going about an event like that. It just doesn't make too much sense to me, and that all sort of bits, who are you trying to fool? No, but it was cool and all, just having a beer, trying to hang out and listen to some music. Music was playing right there, some sort of cover band of sorts, and you really couldn't tell what was being played. It was just really, really loud, like someone's sitting behind the sound booth, that sort of thing right there. They're just like, oh, I'm going to make it loud, taking all those faders and lining it up, and everything's red, everything's flashing, and, people are drunk anyway, so it doesn't particularly matter what it sounds like, right? As long as it's loud, man, I want to hear my rock music. That's sort of it right there. And so that being said, I was like, you show up to this kind of thing, stone cold sober, and you're trying to catch up with everyone else, and that sort of sense right there. It's just a headache, right? So we made a conscious decision right then and there, and we went out, and we just started walking about, and ran into some amazing adventures. Looks like I will not be able to share them on the show tonight, because Terry is giving me that look, that look where I'm not supposed to continue on any longer. I'm supposed to change the subject. Oh, he's giving me the signal now. I gotta change subjects. No, I can at least say this. I went to 16-bit, and that was a real fun time, and I was surprised because it was crowded as hell, but, still spacious, and wasn't a shit time. So, I mean, there you go right there. I highly recommend going back, that sort of bit right there. But, yeah, an evening with Christians, fascists, and gamers. It was a good evening right there. Felt terrible the next day, I'll be honest, though. That's another story altogether. Oh, boy. So that was going about, that sort of thing right there, and another amazing thing that happened, I gotta share these kind of things, because, again, it's one of those moments that I know for the rest of my life, I actually might remember this moment in my life, it was that significant. And aren't those the kind of moments that you want to share? Aren't those the kind of moments that you should share? Those kind of things right there? Well, actually, as we've, mentioned previously on this show, that is not true at all. From what I understand, and scientific studies have been proven, I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry, if you want me to cite my sources, that sort of thing, we'll write down a whole bibliography for you, and we'll make sure it is cited in not only MLA, but APA, and there will be an appendix attached to a large packet of the entire script of this show, which, of course, I don't really write all this out to kind of just go as I go, and that sort of sense right there, so we're going to need some sort of dictation service. And then we'll get the whole script, and then we can put the appendix in the site and the sources right there. That'd be great. But in the meantime, however, I'm not going to cite that, but at least say that we've mentioned previously on the show that there have been scientific studies that have proven that people do not give a damn about your exciting experiences. And that study was conducted, I even remember this off the top of my head, which is disgusting to say the least, but I remember off the top of my head that we took a group of individuals and showed a really awesome video, and then we took another group of individuals and showed them a really stupid, boring, awful video, right? That sort of thing right there, completely uninteresting. And so then we put one person who saw the awesome video in a group with a whole bunch of people who saw the lame video. In a lame video, they all got together and like, oh, we shared this experience, and we have all this, we can have inside jokes now, and we can stratify ourselves so that the person who wasn't in our room is just an outcast. That sort of sense right there. So even though this one person saw an awesome video, it's like, guys, you need to see this thing. It was so cool. They didn't care. Right? People don't care about your exciting experiences at all. So I don't even know if you're possibly interested in this epiphany that I had right there. Why are you being so judgmental? No, seriously, it was a really, really cool movement right there. And I'm not going to say that it was directly correlated, but I was listening to David Bowie while the whole thing happened. Yeah, it was intense, right? Bowie, amazing idea. right there. I think, trying to recall the songs, it might have been Halo Space Boy. But, really great song. I love that song, actually. But that being said right there, I guess I should just stop building it up, that sort of thing. Just cut to the point. What is this epiphany that I had? I don't know if you recall, but I wrote a book of sorts, I guess. It's a book series, or multiple volumes, creating a book. I'm not really sure how that really works out, that sort of thing right there. Formatting, if you haven't guessed already, is not my particular forte. That being said, I don't know what this is in particular, but I wrote 200 pages of this narrative that's been going about, and I've had the hardest time trying to continue that, and I apologize for not making other works available to you in that sort of sense, but honestly, you wouldn't want to read the stuff that I've been writing in correlation with Silhouette. Silhouette is, of course, this thing that I'm referring to, and if you would love to check that out, I would love for you to check this out, see what you think about it. It's about, vigilanteism and, questionable morality and a badass chick kicking ass. I mean, can you ask for that much more? Honestly, check it out for that sort of sense right there, and you can actually find that. I believe I posted a link to it on the Facebook page. If you haven't liked that already, I highly recommend that you do. That's the Teej page, T-E-E-J, and we're not going over how to spell the. That was last class. That being said right there, if you wouldn't mind liking that, it helps me get in contact with you, helps spread the word, helps build our community right here of this strange sort of, I don't even know what to call it anymore. It's just an aura of strange and insanity. I mean, that's a great thing that we're building right here. It's a great thing that we get to do every week, and so we need to share this, right? Because that's the way that we get things out there. That's how we start changing. That's how we promote change. We got to start spreading the word, that sort of sense right there. And I think that's brilliant. So that being said, if you want to do that, you can catch it there or go to surrendersanity.blogspot.com. And again, all of this stuff I've provided for free. It's there. It's out there. And actually got a public reading of it a couple days ago. Now, I guess it's a bit cheap because I did turn it in for class, but it was good enough that the instructor read it before the whole class, and he seemed to like it. So there you go, right there. Yeah, I'm not gonna name names, that sort of thing. I don't want to name drop in that sort of sense, but I will say this much at least: my instructor has made a couple of films in the past, and he seemed to think that this was on the right track for that kind of stuff. Again, just sharing information. These are facts. These are just observations that I have made in the past week. It was awfully exciting. And so the Silhouette bit, the story that I've been writing, it's several hundred pages away. I'm not going to get you too excited right there. It is a long, long way until its completion, but the point of it all is that it has now an ending. And I know that may be the biggest teaser of it all, and that might be annoying. That might be frustrating to you, and I apologize for that. But needless to say, it is out there. It is concrete. It is available in some format, which is really, really cool in my mind. And actually, I was working with it a little bit ago, and I was thinking, hey, why can't I bring this in a auditory format? Start reading, doing book readings, that sort of thing right there. And it's a lot of work, as you can imagine, coming up with these different voices, and oh my god, I never like to make it easy to read my work aloud. I don't know if you've noticed that right there, but alliterations are a bitch to say. So that being said, I was hanging out in the studio with Terry earlier, and I was just struggling through this, and so I don't have it completely prepared for you, but I do have a sample to provide for you, so if you're at all interested in any more of this, please either contact me or just let me know somehow. Send me a message, that sort of thing right there, because there's a lot of potential to have some fun with this, and I ultimately would like to see that happen. So take a listen, tell me what you think. She was halfway home when she heard a disturbance from the alley a block ahead of her. It was impossible to tell what it might be. Live in the city long enough and you become deaf to the cries of its people. It could be anything either way. Children playing, the disagreement of an argument, the dispute of an accident. It was Sylvia's experience that perceived it as the potential of something sinister. Each step encompassed her in regret. It was multiple voices echoing from within the back street. The corner slowly revealed more to the story. She tried to keep her eyes ahead, but couldn't help them from drifting. Just as she might have feared, a woman sat cowering as a group of 3 miscreants gathered around a corpse. The shouting continued as repetition of jabs and kicks flew, crushing the presumed individual at the center of it all. Sylvia kept walking, regardless of the woman's cries. Only until she had crossed the threshold did she stop, leaning against the building, shielding herself from their vision. What was she supposed to do? There was confidence that she could take them, but it forced a risk, one she turned down once before. There was always a chance that an officer would stop and assist in the matter, but that rang like a bad joke in her mind. Sure, on the off chance that an officer did stop, there was no telling if they were crooked, if they would or could for that matter help, and there was an issue of timing. Preoccupied by their first victim, there was no telling how long their attention span would prevail. The woman cowering on the ground was next in line, and there was no idea what they had in store. Sylvia stared at the bottom of her drawstring bag, her gloves staring right back at her. Her intention was using them for practice later when she packed them that morning. They more so served as a keepsake, but could their presence seem more coincidental? The war raged in her mind. Could she really just sit idly by? And you don't have to be a fortune teller to know that those guys are in for the ass-kicking of their life. That's right. So I'm going to have a lot of fun doing that. And again, if you have any interest in hearing more, please either contact me or check it out on surrendersanity.blogspot.com. I guess that's it for my shameless plugging. And I will leave you with one particular note before we kick it over to some music, because I do want to play this song. It has to do with the fact that I've been coming up with some new ideas and, collaborating and that sort of thing. And I got to be honest, it has been a nightmare at some times. Trying to work with some other individuals, particularly Terry right here, because, of course, we have creative differences, that sort of thing right there. And so I guess what I was trying to direct into this musical break right here is that, I don't know, it just seems like they never work, that sort of sense right there. And this is the only time that you'll probably ever hear this song broadcasted just because of its length, but it's a really solid song by FFS, and if you haven't heard it already, you're going to love it right now. I would like to consider this song at least, maybe, Terry, can we have a song? Can this be our song, actually? Can we have a song, just dedicate the moments that we get to spend with each other, that sort of sense right there. Sometimes very romantic in the studio as we longingly stare over each other, over the microphones that stand between us, the only thing that stands between us. Tell me what you think.